Surprise! Hello! Fade. Hello, my friends. Oh, it's good to see you. My name is Cal, and this is our guest for today. This is David.
Hi, everyone.
Everyone say hello to David. So, guys, today, welcome. Come on in. Say hello as you come on through. Give us a little bit of a wave in the comments or something like that. Because David and I are I'm going to sit on David apparently. He's fine with that. But I'm here, we are here all together for the Genyus Network Trauma Survivor Support Team here on Facebook. We meet up every week to connect with each other and share topics, stories, and have a bit of live action together. And this week, I wanted to introduce you to someone that I have met. This man I've met on my travels of establishing our community and all getting together. And yeah, through I guess, well, actually, you tell us, how did we meet? Do you remember how we actually met? I just remembered. There'll be a funny thing about why memory is funny, but anyway.
Well, I was running a research project, and I suppose we'll get into why I was doing that in a minute, but and someone that I was working with actually mentioned your name, someone in the community had said, you know who you need to talk to. You need to talk to Cal.
You need to be in the network.
Yeah.
So I guess one thing I wanted to tell you now watching is that David is, what I learned very quick is that David's a neuropsychologist and almost neuropsychologist. I've got to be careful with that one. He's almost there. He's badass no matter what. But David is a trainee student neuropsychologist. And I don't know about you, but when I had my stroke, I had no idea what a neuropsychologist was. You didn't ever? And I guess one of the amazing things about David that you should know really quick is that David is a trainee neuropsychologist, and he's also a fellow stroke survivor. And so why I thought, hang on, we've got tea, so if you haven't got a tea or something, please grab one with us, because we're just going to do that. But what I wanted to chat about, David, and we'll just move everyone to have a bit of a better look at you. Have a squiz at his pad, guys. Jeepers creepers. I thought that I was doing all right. One of the things I wanted to talk with you about was a bit about your stroke journey. Sure. So we sort of need to flash back about 20 years.
Yeah, that's right. 23 years ago.
23 years ago.
I was 19. I had really just moved to Melbourne from Queensland, and I had just finished my first semester exams at uni, and was sitting at home with a friend watching Wimbledon one night, and got the pins and needles.
Wow!
And that they weren't going away.
So it was quite a slow.
Yeah, admittedly, it's a little bit of a kind of vague memory for me now, but I think that they must have been going on for quite a while for me to eventually call my dad. So my dad was a GP in Brisbane, but I woke him up. So I was obviously getting to the point where I was concerned, and rang Dad, and Dad said, "Put down the phone, get to hospital."
Wow. Well, that is... So cut from that point. So you're 19, have had this experience, you've got a GP. If you've got a GP in the family or anyone medical in your family, let us know down below. But obviously that helps. So, I mean, I personally relate a lot with that experience of being able to, I guess, someone to address it really quickly. Yeah. So jumping sort of into your... Well, what happened next after...
What I was having was a parietal hemorrhage. I didn't know that at the time.
I actually, even though I'm a stroke survivor and I know all the stuff about my thing, I'm not good with all those other ones. So can you tell us a bit about what a parietal stroke means?
Yeah, so it was a bleed. It was a reasonably significant bleed, I believe. And it was kind of happening on the left-hand side, kind of, at the top. It was kind of up here. And yeah, it was affecting the right side of my body.
Okay.
And my speech.
Yep.
More, predominantly.
Okay.
But I got to hospital. I was in an induced coma for around 2 weeks, I think, and then a few weeks at the Alfred, and then shifted.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we've got more to come in this story, but sure. So you're at the Alfred Hospital, which is in Melbourne,
yeah.
And I mean, your family would have been incredibly impacted by that event, I'm assuming.
Incredibly, and that's the thing sometimes that, admittedly I don't remember much, if any of that. I actually slept really through a lot of it.
Yeah.
And it was my family who that was the most traumatic time for them. And I feel terrible about putting them through that, but
I think that, do you know what? Actually, I think that's a really good point, and please let us know if you relate with this one, because there is sometimes a sense of, like, I was the same. I was induced. I was in ICU for over 5 weeks. I don't remember really any of it, and the stuff that my family had to deal with.
Yeah.
Just the emotional stress, no matter how long that period is, or even necessarily what goes on in that period, all the pressure is on them emotionally. And so if you relate with that, please let us know. Or if you're a family member that's had to relate with that, even more importantly, please let us know down below. But
yeah, strokes definitely don't just happen to individuals. They happen to families, to couples, to friendships.
Communities.
Yeah, communities.
So what did that mean? Can you tell us what the stroke, how it affected you? You said it was the left side. Yeah. So what does that mean in terms of once you're sort of coming to and rebuilding life?
Sure, yeah. So there was left hemiparesis. So
okay.
I was paralysed and I was my right. It was left hand side, right.
Yeah.
Right.
There's that whole thing about the left and the right thing.
I really shouldn't be getting that wrong.
Yeah. No. Don't worry about it. I'm like, I said it.
So for a while I couldn't move anything on my right hand side, and I couldn't speak. So I lost all speech for a number of months.
And just a side note that I want everyone, please jump in on this one. When you say you lost your speech, so from I can only leverage off my own experience. So I had a phonic issue. So I couldn't produce sound. I could think the words. I could even mouth the words, but I had an actual disruption in my vocal mechanism.
Right.
Was that different for you?
A little bit different. I could, like you, I could think the words in my head. It felt like I was thinking normally.
Okay. So normal pace, just normal thoughts.
Sure, just thoughts. Yeah.
Okay.
I had no way of getting those thoughts to my mouth, so I didn't know how to make the sounds, or didn't know what to do with my mouth to make the sounds.
Okay.
My speech therapist, started from scratch with, okay, today we're going to work on the sound p. We're going to tell you what you need to do to make the word p. She used to hold a tissue up in front of my mouth and had to make the tissue move with the air. So p.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So
I don't know why. I don't know exactly why, but for some reason that just landed for me. I don't know if we'll watch it back in the playback, but something just landed for me about what that experience would feel like to, I think because for me, I was trying so hard to funnel air that had the paralysis was with the vocal cords. Yeah. It wasn't really about weakness or coordination.
Yes. Yeah.
So for me, I just realised that must have been an incredibly isolating and scary feeling.
I think it was probably the worst of it, and I think anyone with aphasia, experiences this. That it's to have the ability to communicate your ideas or your needs, or communicate at all is sometimes, often, I would imagine, the worst. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's sort of like who we are and what we do is like all through communications.
Yeah.
And so if that's cut off, of course you're.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're obviously now a wonderful communicator, and that's why I was like, come and get candid with me. Moving on, that's obviously like been, I mean, so what years are they? Like that's kind of, so 20 years ago is, oh God, I'm not good with maths, and that's not to do with the stroke either, but...
Yeah, so is it in...
what
year was that?
Yeah.
That was 1995.
1995,
Yeah.
okay.
And I think I was probably lucky that, in one way, that I was 19.
Yeah.
I think my brain probably had a certain level of neuroplasticity, could find new pathways, ways of actually finding, pathways to create the function that it wanted to. So,
to rebuild.
Yeah.
Okay. And so did you... I obviously introduced you as a trainee neuropsychologist, an emerging neuropsychologist. That's what I'm going to call you. David's an emerging neuropsychologist. But obviously that's the path that we're at now.
Sure.
Could you tell us was there a turning point that you went, neuropsych, I'm going to do that?
Sure. Well, that was much later. Getting out of hospital, getting out of rehab, my focus was just get back to life that I knew, as I knew it. That was, a degree in communications and ironically, and marketing. So I ended up, working in marketing for 12, 15 years.
Wow.
Until I wanted to create some more opportunities for myself and decided to study psychology.
Okay. As a blanket thing, I just want to do psychology.
Well, admittedly, at the time, I thought the most logical thing was to kind of focus on organisational psychology. So working within business.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what you meant then. So
Yeah.
So within an organisation.
That's right.
The psychology. Okay.
Kind of linked to HR.
If you get it, let us know. Yeah.
But when I started studying, I think every time we were being taught about the brain and brain function, that just kind of, I felt like that was making me come alive, and that's what I realised at some point, 6 or 7 years ago maybe, that it made sense to me that I could actually take my experience, add some knowledge and maybe some clinical training, and perhaps work with people that have actually been through something like I've been through. So.
Wow, talk about, it's like paying it forward, but yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff in it. There's a whole lot of things I could say about that. So, oh my God, I just realised hang on, I just wanted to say if anyone, oh good, okay. Now, just let us know if you can hear everything, guys. We'll have a quick scroll through the comments soon. But can you... Okay, so how many years in are you as a neuropsychologist trainee?
Okay, so once you've got a psychology undergrad, then you can go into doing a master's or a PhD or a kind of a clinical doctorate. Which is a 4-year degree, and that's what I am at now in my 4th year of.
Wow.
So hopefully
you've clocked up a few hours.
Hopefully at some point, next year, I should finish, and hopefully, start
wow.
working. Yeah.
That's so. So with the memory thing, I need to tell you guys. So part of when David and I met up, we realised we actually have a couple of friends in common, which was bizarre. But then obviously we have some life experience that's in common. But one thing that David's been doing, and I've actually had the privilege of seeing David present on, is a study. Do you want to?
Sure.
How would you explain the
So-
memory study?
So as part of the study, we run a research project, and I realised at the beginning of this process that I was really interested in memory,
Yeah.
and the rehabilitation of memory. Certainly interested in stroke, and I think memory rehab is an area that I think there's opportunities to actually provide more value, to learn more.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was interested in is access to rehab.
Ah, cool. The gap.
So there's a lot of people out there. We realise that being able to run a kind of memory rehab program is one thing, but if you happen to live in the country, or maybe you live in the city, and it is actually difficult to get out of the house, or get down to a local rehab clinic if there happen to be one.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't because
Don't
of
have
mobility
that access,
restrictions, or there's a lot of reasons that people don't have access to the kind of rehab that they need. So I wanted to have a look at whether we could provide some sort of memory rehab program over the internet using something like Skype. Which should overcome a lot of those
Physical barriers.
access barriers.
I love it. Access barriers. Yeah, well put. And so with that incredible pitch, not probably intending to pitch it, but I was like, that's brilliant. I want to participate in this. So what I got to do about 6 months ago? No.
Maybe more than that, I think.
More?
It was sometime last year.
It's been a while. We've been cracking for a while, guys. But I participated in the program, and which was a mixture of in-person and I guess remote. So using Skype, using different telecommunication methods to basically participate in this program. And I found so many tips because I was like, my memory's not so good. When I had my stroke, tell me if you relate with this, but I had a bit of a fishbowl memory. I was a bit dory, but in the beginning, I had a very reduced speed of processing. So information would sort of go in and it would be hard to retrieve it. And that appeared like a short-term memory loss kind of thing, even though I think technically it wasn't a loss, if you say it's speed of information process.
Well, yeah, you weren't necessarily losing the information, but you remember about the process of memory.
Yeah.
How do we understand that memory actually works?
Exactly. And there's
what are the three
oh my god, how we go? I'm like, well, okay. Oh yes, I do know the three steps. So the thing was that part of this whole program that you got to participate in was about figuring out different ways that you use your memory, but in your environment, basically. And the 3 steps, which I remember absolutely being like, that is brilliant, it's so good, because it's encode.
Getting the information in. That's the first bit, yeah.
Storage,
keeping it there.
and retrieval.
Getting it out.
Yeah. It's so good. Encode, storage, retrieval.
Yeah.
And when I realised that in your hippocampus, which is really just a hippopotamus inside your head, that's how you sort of retrieve your memories, and the significance of having a good process to encoding information, to then having a safe place to store that information, then to go and retrieve it. There's a whole lot of factors that come into it that I didn't even know. From my point of view, from my experience, I didn't know that how necessary it was to have a clear working space, to have a clean bedroom, to have meals at a regular time, to exercise. There was a lot of things that I was doing instinctively, which have helped me function. But when I have been overloaded, I guess, things like trying to remember where your house keys are, or anything, having a memory station, that is like one of the coolest things that I got. There was some really pivotal I would say sort of like memory turning points that I got from this program, which I guess No, I'm just all the power to the fact that this program was generated by someone with lived experience that could put, you know, some, in a way, kind of simple framework.
Sure, I have to admit, the program itself was not necessarily, it's not something that I actually created.
Okay, yeah.
And that was created by, you know, some really clever people. It was originally developed by the University of Sydney.
So this is like a sort of a version of.
Yeah, it is.
And run by.
So we,
Okay, that's right.
It had never been kind of delivered one-on-one or over the internet.
Yeah.
So we kind of, you know, we adapted it. And
which is why I must say, like, it felt so personal and so easy to participate in this because there was a level of personal connection that was at the forefront of the importance of the program. I felt like that it was really important that you actually had almost like a buddy and you were actually checking in with a human, and I think that made you accountable, and I certainly didn't feel like a patient during it. I mean, it's been a long time since I felt like a patient, but I thought that the study did a lot towards empowering someone to kind of take control of their memory. Really,
that is fantastic to hear.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
that wasn't scripted.
That's what we want to hear. Absolutely, but
so I guess, I mean, has there been anything that, in terms of your memory?
Yeah.
We've talked about some of your memories. Has there been any memories in your experience that have, like, been hard to deal with, or like that you've had to sort of like get through, like recurring memories or anything like that through your experiences?
I don't think that's kind of not been part of my experience.
Okay.
And of course, you know, we probably know that everyone's stroke is different and everyone's kind of experience
different strokes, different folks.
Different. Yeah. You know, and I think, you know, my difficulties when it comes to memory are the kind of things that you just talked about. It's about the everyday stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, long-term memory is, you know, is fine. It's for me anyway, and it's probably not something that you see a lot of in stroke. You know, that those kind of long-term memories being affected. But
right.
But you know, from what I can see and from the research that we know is that it's really that everyday memory. It's remembering things day to day. What to, you know, and I think some of the things that people really talk to me about. You know, remembering to do things, remembering appointments. Yeah. Remembering names.
Oh my god. Can I just say, if you have trouble remembering people's names, you know when you're like at an event or like anything, I'm talking like the event can be going to the milk bar. You go somewhere and you like meet the person and you go, oh, thank you so much. Sorry, what's your name? And they go, Mike. And you go, oh, cool. And then within like a split second, you're like, I've got no idea what his name is. Like, I have no idea. Do you have any tips on like anything that you can do when you're in a situation like that? Like, I don't know if there's like, what?
Sure. So there's a number of what we call internal strategies. So these are things that you're just using your mind internally to try and help that process of getting the information in the encoding stage in a way that's going to make it easier to get out later on. Okay. So there's a couple of things I'm going to talk to you about. Repetition.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to talk to you about elaboration.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you remember that one?
I think I elaborate a lot. So sure.
And association. So
yes.
Okay. So repetition.
Yeah.
That, you know, it's classic. You just repeat the information. So
in your head.
In your head.
Okay.
But maybe also in conversation. So you've just introduced yourself to me as Cal. I've got to, you know, and repeat it in your mind. Okay, Cal.
Okay.
Cal. If you can, you know, it's sometimes difficult because you've also got to, you know, maintain the conversation.
You've got to also like keep face, and you're like, you just look at them and you're like,
little awkward. Just wait for a minute.
Yeah.
No, but the other thing is actually use the name. So, you know, I can say, Cal, it's really nice to meet you. You know, Cal, this is my friend. So Cal, tell me a little bit about what you do. Or at the end of the conversation, it was really nice to meet you, Cal. So just then I just repeated your name a number of times, and in order to do that kind of, you know, naturally and, you know, as a habit, it's like any skill, it takes practice.
I love that, because I reckon that, and tell me if you agree with this, I feel like by doing that, because I do that a lot. I do association, I do the rhyming one. What was the other A you said?
The association.
No, it doesn't have
there was elaboration.
Elaboration. Oh, well, I do that a lot.
So that one is all about kind of just think of as many different details and attach it to, you know, this memory of you.
Oh, so you could go like, I'm meeting a person, then you're going to think Cluedo or painting or something that's it could be abstract.
Right, yeah.
And you just associate that with them.
Yeah, just so you're creating kind of a stronger memory trace. If you think about, you know, the path of finding that memory in your brain later on, you're kind of giving yourself as many different kind of signposts as you can.
I love that.
Like that one?
I love that, because something else I got from the memory study was learning that when I'm, say, going somewhere, particularly if I'm walking, because I've got so many vision issues and dizziness can affect me a lot, I can end up back, trying to trace my steps back, and I'm like, I got no idea where I am. Like, I got nothing.
Well,
And one of the things I learned from this was about, do you want me to say it, or do you want
Please,
me to?
no, absolutely.
Okay. Was about almost taking like visual snapshots. So as I'm walking, as you're walking down the street, and you're like, well, I've got to go back to that street, but I'm moving into, you know, a swamp. Maybe not a swamp, but you're moving into like a busy plaza or something. That to turn around and sort of take a mental snapshot and then just keep walking. The thing for me, which has been interesting, is that I have done that, but if I do it really quickly, I like end up sort of like almost going for a spin, because I've got like proprioception issues. So if you have proprioception issues or dizziness, take your time. Ain't no one chasing you, it's all good. But a little snapshot, it makes so much sense to kind of...
Have you ever actually taken like a photo?
I haven't, but I heard from... I have never done it, but I heard that from your study, I heard that people did that. And I was like, that makes so much sense. We've all got a phone.
That's right. Just turn around, take a photo. And I do this, particularly in car parks. If I want to remember the level, the row, where my car is, I turn around, I take a photo of it that includes... you know, some sort of clue about what colour, you know, the poles are painted, or what number it is, or I take a photo of the sign near the lift, which will often have the floor number and that kind of stuff. So and it just takes some pressure off your brain.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to hold those details in your mind and not lose them while you have 100 other things to think about because you're about to do some Christmas shopping.
Yeah.
You know, all you have to remember is go and have a look at the photo.
Yeah. And I reckon that, for me, I found that so comforting when I was doing this study, because it made me realise that, you know, I think it's really easy if you've got a brain injury or what have you, any sort of head injury, it's very easy to think, oh, it's my brain, it's this. But actually, we've all got a whole lot of stuff going on in our heads, every single person. So those tools, taking the mental snapshot, even taking the physical snapshot, the association, repeating I think I called it mirroring. I think I made that up, sorry. I'm like, it made sense to me. I was like, it's like you're mirroring their name so they can sort of see their name. But anyway, the point is that you repeat their name. All these little tips kind of thing.
We didn't talk about the association. Do you mind if I just,
oh my God,
mention
please.
that as well? So,
oh my God, yes. No, time is up. No,
I think this is a pretty cool one, if you can.
Yeah.
So this is, you know, I've just met you. I know your name's Cal. I want to associate that name with some physical detail about you.
Yeah.
So in your case, I might think, as I'm meeting you, curly hair. Cal, curly hair. So that C, that curly hair.
Oh, so you got like an association in that way.
That's right. So later on, when I'm thinking, what was that guy's name? I think about what does he look like? What was the feature that I wanted to remember?
And the hair comes straight away.
Curly hair, cut. Yeah.
Why is it that, I don't know, I find this interesting. Why is it that an image, are images and language stored in different parts of your brain? Like,
yes. Well, in a way.
or do they just help each other?
Well, they absolutely can help each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, different regions of the brain can be more responsible for, visual information or verbal information, which is the, language-based stuff.
Okay.
And depending on where someone's stroke is, one or other or both, might be creating, some difficulties. So
yeah, right.
If you know which one you have more difficulty with, you try and kind of recruit the other one to help you. So like, if visually you're fine, you've got a really good kind of visual memory, but your memory for names and lists and the language kind of stuff is difficult, then maybe use visual information to help you remember, because that's your strength.
I love that. So I feel like okay, we need to do a summary for everyone, I feel, because
There's so much.
There's so much. I'm just like, oh my God. But this helps anyone. It's visual. Knowing kind of what your strength is, I think, is an important thing. It might be orally. It might be visually. I know for me, it's definitely visual.
Sure.
But then I think that understanding that memory is a 3-part process in terms of encoding, storing, and retrieving. Understanding that there could be a disruption in one of those areas. Yep. So maybe to focus your attention on one of them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then I guess some really cool tactics, the snapshots, looking backwards of if you're coming back to an area, turn around, take a photo of it in your mind or on your camera.
Yep.
What was the other one that I want to say? Repeating someone's name in a dialogue with them.
Yep.
Maybe associating their crazy name with their crazy hair to remember it.
Crazy.
Crazy Caleb with the curly hair. Crazy Cal with curly hair. I'm trying to think. There's
memory station.
Oh my God. Okay, the memory station, 100%. Wallet, keys, any of that stuff. Sunscreen, lip balm, any of the stuff that you always have with you. A little station that is by itself. That it's like for me, it was like a shrine. It's like a little. I'm like only that goes there. And then it clears out all the dust and murkiness of what's going on in your crazy brain.
Well, that pressure of having to remember
everything.
You've got 5 things, you have to remember where they all are at any one time. And
whereas if you get into the habit of having a memory station, you can just you know exactly where it is. And it really does, honestly. The thing that I reported back after doing the sessions was that my level of like just sort of general day anxiety definitely decreased, because it was like I don't have as much baggage, and it makes sense. And I know that other people, when I've said little things to friends who thought that so much of it was brilliant, they don't have brain injuries, but they were just like, oh, it's just like I do that thing now, like totally
anyone can use.
So it's like they're just life hacks.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, thank you for hacking with us. But I guess, I feel like this can be the start of something. I would love to, maybe even be able to share more things about as you continue on. I'd love us to get together again and be able to share with you. But if you've got any sort of memory hacks that you use out there, please let us know down below, because he'll put them in his thesis. You can just copyright it down the bottom. But thank you so much, David. Thank you so much for sharing your story and all your, oh my God, what a journey. You're paying it forward like an absolute legend. Thank you so much.
As are you.
But namaste. I will see you with everyone very soon. And everybody say goodbye to David. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next week. I'm a genius. David is a genius. You're a genius. Let's get cracking.